Here's the story of how one school doesn't want to pay one man $18 million and another school where a football player allegedly sexually assaulted someone again. This is the Dose Grande Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big 12 squad. From Oklahoma State to Utah, from Kansas State to BYU, from Houston to Texas Tech, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big 12 weekend. Buckle up, it's the Big 12 squad, and we have a seat for you. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big 12 squad.
I would say the intro is unequivocally wrong about most things that it claims at this point. When we first started the squad show 2 years ago, it made sense. Duke was in the intro. It's like no hurt feelings or thin skin. We allow hurt feelings. We allow thin skin.
We got the thinnest skin. What are you talking about? Come on,
JT Westersill. Yeah, he's not with us today, but yes. And it says like previewing the biggest games this weekend. We're not going to say ding about any game this weekend. It has nothing to do with the contents of this episode today. It's Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor, Jake Hatch of Locked On Cougars, BYU, Christian Rao, Locked On Kansas State, Kevin Borba with the Buffs, Cody Stovall with the Cowboys, and Mountaineer Paul with West Virginia. Cam and I, based on how our evenings have gone, have something very similar in common. That's that we both went to Baylor, Sick'em Bears, and we are both very sad and sorry. We apologize for Ken Starr's very frequent involvement in the Epstein files.
How could we have seen this coming?
It was such a stand-up guy.
It's the ones you least suspect.
Yep. He was hired for his morals. Thanks for making our shows your first listen every single day. If you hit subscribe, we get to keep our jobs. And your everyday, our club is for everyday listeners. Christian Rao, why on earth would they ever have to pay Jerome Tang his buyout? Because he was fired for cause. Because I hate him. That's got to be worth something.
That's what it seems like, man. And look, I'm the first to say it. This is such the softest case of termination for cause. There's no doubt about it. It's completely soft. But if you have a small window, if you're that program, you have a small window to maybe not pay $18.7 million, to maybe find yourself out of the Big 12 gutter, you take it. You throw that salvo out there and you try and attempt to make it happen. If a settlement possibly makes it go down $3-4 million, if that means your program gets dragged through the mud by the national media, so be it. I think that's where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, the next head coach at Kansas State, you better not talk about your players or you are gone, son. Gone.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know,
Leave it
man.
to me.
I see what you're 100% saying. I do. It's just, that's so, like you said, it's weak. I just don't know what it says about your word as a person. I mean, not yours, theirs.
I took that.
It's a loophole
personally, MP, 100%.
Well, yeah. I mean, as a fan of West Virginia, I would absolutely feel the same way you just did. But I mean, I would also simultaneously worry about, what's that say about our administration that we're willing to do that? And once again, it's the money, right? It puts so much pressure on programs to make these decisions, to look for these loopholes. And it's obviously he wasn't doing it for Kansas State, who has, I seen the job rankings earlier. I don't know if you guys saw that. Somebody put up a list of job rankings in the Big 12. Kansas State was really low on that list. Didn't know if I agreed with it quite. I felt like they're more middle of the pack than way down low, like they had them. But either way, he wasn't getting it done.
I think it's fair to say that they're a top 6-7 team in the conference when it comes to resources, at least when it comes to the college basketball program. But I agree with you. I think this was soft. I like Jerome Tang, and I think we've all mentioned that a couple times when you come on my show and we've talked about this situation, if we've done it or if I've done a crossover with you, Drake. We like Jerome Tang, but the performance just hasn't been there, and you can't worry about that when it comes to liking a guy or whatever the case may be. But on that caveat, Jerome Tang, he deserves every single one of these penny here. I don't know if that's going to happen, but poor performance isn't for cause. It's not that. That's not the reason you should fire somebody.
Right.
Well, it kind of is the reason you should fire somebody, but
not in this case.
Not for cause.
Right. That's what I mean.
You should
You
typically
can fire
have
them, but you got to give them $18.7 million if it's because of poor performance. Good call. Yeah.
He has a really good agent for negotiating this much money in a buyout. Let's just put it that way, because that is an astronomically large amount of money that should be coming his way. I agree with you, Christian. But there's got to be some thought process going forward from Kansas State and other programs is, hey, we got to avoid putting ourselves in hell, for lack of a better term, when it comes to these buyouts. We have to have an out that will cover both sides of this, because $18+ million to Jerome Tang, man, that's a tough look if you're Kansas State.
Any of your coaches are possibly going to be poached, because that was the reason why this buyout was installed, because they thought he might go to Arkansas a few years ago. So Gene Taylor did basically everything he could to keep him around. So if you think any of your coaches are going to be poached, you got to be worried about that. Kevin, you have Tad Boyle. You got nothing to worry about.
You never know how that's going to go when you do that, right? Like,
he's not wrong.
Coming up 2023, Neil Brown wins 9 games. Ren Baker gets hired simultaneously. Obviously, Ren Baker did what he felt he needed to do at the time and gave Neil a couple extra years. Now that looked really bad a couple years later. If you'd have told me after the first year that Tang had with that crazy run, I would have never thought that would have ended this way, right? And in under 5 years, come on. So, yeah, it's definitely significant and unprecedented in a lot of ways. But I think, K-State will land on their feet either way.
Has any other team inside the Big 12 gambled as hard on the transfer portal in basketball, and only the transfer portal, compared to Kansas State?
Well, us, but we kind of had to.
I still like the K-State price tag is so hefty. It's one of the top 3 in the Big 12, and you guys suck, man. Like really suck.
And we have an All-American, the second leading scorer in the country.
$4 million on Coleman Hawkins, and he was like legit terrible. I think you guys had like a separate rankings that you were going off of or something, or just, I don't know what Jerome Tang was doing, but you were giving out a lot of money to the wrong people every single time. And I don't know.
Well, it wasn't just Kansas State that was saying that. It was a whole bunch of industry rankings saying we had the top portal class last year with the Hawkins and the experience. And it just didn't work out. The gamble failed not just once, but twice. And that's just what makes it the final straw. You just can't have that. And then you talk about the Elite 8 run from Jerome Tang. How much was that of him building the roster? Right. So like you go back to it and like, did he ever truly build a roster for Kansas State? And I think you can make the answer is no.
I think you'd also make a case that, and K-State fans might not love this, but like think about the things that you've said as a K-State fan in your life the last 3 years. Maybe the administration at Kansas State just isn't all that great. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe the infrastructure, like Chris Klieman, good head football coach, national or Big 12 championship, national championship at the FCS level. He started to peter out. Like, it's kind of a tumultuous time for K-State athletics right now. Maybe the leadership's just not great? Question mark.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. There are many in my comments at Locked On Kansas State that are not happy with the fact that Gene Taylor is going to be making the next basketball head coach search.
I called Christian earlier losing my mind and asking me if I should be thinking this heavily about K-State and their AD and their president being so soft and weak. So, yeah. The
answer is yes, for sure, yes. Approaching, BYU loses one player in football who was all Big 12 caliber, one of the best wide receivers they had in-house and in the conference, to alleged sexual assault, and you lose arguably your most pivotal basketball player to a torn ACL. Haul of very bad for BYU last week, and it's pretty big news for the conference. This is the Dose Grande squad.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thank you to Mazda and Kalia. Make sure if you're an everydayer to subscribe to our Everydayer Club on the Big 12 Locked On Big 12 family of shows. Cam Stewart, Jake Hatch, Christian Rao, Kevin Borba, Cody Stovall, Mountaineer Paul. Jake, man, you and I had a crossover about it earlier in the week. Feels like deja vu all over again in a lot of ways. I mean, if you're the casual Big 12 fan, you're like, oh, look, second year in a row, BYU football player, alleged rape. Just not, I mean, every way you look at it, just not great.
No, there's no defending this. This is a horrific look for BYU, and I think it's a big reason why they wasted no time, because the difference between the Jake Retzloff situation and this one with Parker Kingston is that was a civil lawsuit last year with Jake Retzloff. This is a criminal complaint. This is first-degree felony charges levied against a star BYU football player, and I think the black eye the university's enduring with this second straight year of this marring the program, there's a reason why he has been unceremoniously booted from school and off the football program.
Where do you go from here? What's
tough.
the wide receiver room here now? Like, this is this hurt? I mean, this is the biggest question, right? Last year, I questioned BYU being a good team in the Big 12 because of the Jake Retzloff situation. I didn't think the quarterback situation. Now this is another key wide receiver to your offense. How bad is this going to hurt your preseason rankings again?
Oh, it's going to knock him down a peg. There's no doubt about that, because Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston, for all intents and purposes, were the tandem at wide receiver for BYU last year. Chase is off to the NFL, and obviously Parker's situation is still unresolved, but very much looking like he will never play for BYU again. So the simple fact of the matter is, Christian, you've got to find some guys that are already in the program. JoJo Phillips is kind of the third guy on this year's squad. He missed 8 games due to a broken collarbone last season. Can he take a step forward and really become the option one? There's some other younger wide receivers that have been developing in this program, and all of them got to be thinking, all right, we have got to be this year's version of Bear Bachmeier, albeit in wide receiver form, step up and really make it about us being a star in this program. Because if they don't have that, it's going to absolutely put a damper on BYU's hopes of making another run at the Big 12 title, if not the college football playoff.
Outside perspective, guys, does it feel like we just did this song and dance last year in the Big 12 and particularly with BYU?
Like,
I'm starting to
BYU
wonder.
has a problem. Like, who's going to be held accountable for this? Like, how do you prevent this from happening again? Because obviously, both times are terrible, obviously, but one time it's like, okay, maybe that's an anomaly, but twice now, and very notable players who are probably very notable around the college campus. Like, how do you prevent that from happening? Like, is Kalani Sitake, like, is he held accountable? Is it the athletic director? Like, who is at fault here? And like, how do you prevent this from happening?
That's strong.
Jake, let me ask. Obviously, Parker's an outlier. Jake Retzloff is an outlier as well. But is potentially the reason you guys are so close to explosivity the last 2 years is because you're very frustrated and you're having a hard time getting released?
Well,
that's where Rugia. That's where Rugia.
Rugia ready, baby. Yeah,
that's the Rugia ready.
I wish I had a good answer for either one of those questions, because there does need to be some accountability taken, to your point, Kevin, because you can't have this continue to happen, especially at a university that espouses the ideals that BYU espouses to have, a very stringent honor code that forbids premarital sexual relations. So there's a whole litany of things that need to be addressed, and to have, as Drake said, really feels like we kind of just did this all last offseason, because we did. And that's the tough part about this, is this is not a good look for a program that, if you go back 20 years, BYU lost a head coach because they had a gang rape trial that convened the first ever grand jury in Utah County history. So they don't want anything to do with any of this. So there needs to be some accountability taken. There's no doubt about it. And Cody, to your point, maybe there is some pent-up emotion that absolutely needs to be released in a different manner.
Atta baby.
I think,
the hard part about sports, though, is like Kalani Sitake is one of the best coaches in college football. And if BYU moves on from him, he's going to get a job. And so I think that part scares BYU, because obviously DJ Jerkin's out there and he literally killed someone. So like, there's coaches who have gotten other chances, but it is disappointing to see this continually happening at a program where one of their core values is the respect of others. And clearly that's not happening.
I'm not talking bad about BYU or down on BYU, but there's a legitimate question. Could this have always been something that was occasionally happening, but it was a lot easier back in the day to kind of keep it swept under the rug? Because when you have 115, 125 dudes, the likelihood of one or two branching off and being idiots is pretty high.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
social
Jake,
media era, you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it was perpetuated in the Penn State locker room for decades, right? Mm-hmm. in college football, there is a both conscious and subconscious, ignorance, chosen ignorance, decisive ignorance to situations like these, Jake.
And the one thing, I'm not trying to compare these two situations because, like I said, one's a civil lawsuit, the other one's a criminal complaint. There's two very different things when it comes to they're kind of apples to oranges. But the one thing about the Jake Retzloff situation last year that I found very interesting, because it's kind of the new dynamic in college football, is that Jake apparently went to his agent first and foremost. That's who he talked to first when this whole thing came about. He didn't go to his head coach. He didn't go to the athletic director. He didn't go to his position coach. He went to his agent. That changes a whole thing anymore, because it used to be if something like this popped up, you know who you talk to first? Your position coach. They would take it to the head coach, then they take it to the athletic director. They move it up the food chain from there. If you're going to your agent first, and I'm not saying that's I don't know any of this with regards to the Parker Kingston situation, still very early on. I found that very unique in the Jake Retzloff situation that he went to his agent first.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was doing my research on BYU for the season a couple of weeks ago, and I remember you guys brought in some talent. Not trying to dispel the issue at hand, as far as that's very serious, and I don't have many comments on it as far as it pertains to it being. I don't know if you can say it's BYU or Kalani Sitake's fault that this is happening, but I understand that it does roll downhill, and some people have to be held accountable. But as far as replacements go for the football aspect of this, you guys did bring in some talented pieces, right? You bring in a tight end from USC from former four-star guy. You bring in an Oregon wide receiver that I really like. I don't know if you feel like either one of those guys, Casper or Lyons, can step up and be that next thing. But I watched a little bit of tape on Kyler Casper maybe a week or two ago, and I really liked him. I know he's had feet issues or something, but are those people being talked about?
Yeah, they're going to have to be part of the answer. You're right. Walker Lyons, obviously, he's coming over from USC. He's the older brother of Ryder Lyons, who's the four-star hotshot freshman quarterback BYU just signed. He's expected to step into the role that Carson Ryan vacated. And Carson had a phenomenal season by all accounts for BYU. So he's going to have to be part of the answer, like being a bigger option at tight end. But also Kyler Casper. I think there's another Nakua on the roster, and Tei Nakua, the younger brother of Puka, that is expected to take a step forward. Every one of those guys, to your point, Mountaineer Paul, now has to be thinking, all right, this is my time to really step up into that void and really make that position mine. Because in circumstances like this, all you can do is try and find what you've got. And with the portal closed, we'll see if any other names pop up. I think BYU is going to just bet on who they have right now on the roster.
Let's throw a pin in it, and you can find plenty more of that on Locked On Cougars, all things BYU from Jake Hatch, and go to the hardwood, the LED hardwood, that is. Come on now, Brett Yormark, Big 12. Let's talk a little basketball, baby. We're playing basketball. We love that basketball. This is the Dose Grande Squad. Drake Toll with you, Locked On Big 12, the Locked On Big 12 podcast, here to tell you that life is not complete if it doesn't have TurboTax. Well, it's really not complete if you don't do your taxes, because the U.S. government makes you, and you really should. And you should do them with TurboTax. That's where it becomes so easy. TurboTax, full service. Get your taxes done for you by a trusted local tax expert without stress or guesswork. W-2s, self-employed forms, whatever you need with TurboTax. Limited time. Get a tax expert for just $150. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate. TurboTax.com/local. TurboTax.com/local. Today's show is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Dog, look, I've got a radio show every day at 6 a.m. That's early, man. So what do? I down a 5 Hour Energy. There's just something about it. It's the best way for a pick-me-up. My favorite flavor is their Fusion. It's like a grape thing. It's good. So 5 Hour Energy, quick dose. I take it as a shot, just bam, gone, down the hatch. Energy for 5+ hours. It's the perfect pick-me-up for my day and for you. 5hourenergy.com or buy on Amazon. Even easier. Here they come. It's the Dose Grande Squad. Drake Toll with you from Locked On Big 12. Basketball-wise, Jake, we send it back to you. At the time of recording on Tuesday, we could only assume the BYU lost to Arizona. Richie Saunders. Richie Saunders, one of the best players in the Big 12, out for the season, torn ACL. Does this help the likes of some of these Big 12 schools that stand in BYU's final 6 games?
Oh, absolutely. They got to be licking their chops thinking, all right, BYU's got a name. Obviously, their resume, in terms of the RPI, net, whatever you want to call it, that's still going to help bolster your resume. And you got to be thinking, this is a wounded animal that we can pick off along the way. Absolutely. It's going to help whoever BYU has remaining on their schedule.
Anybody here scared of BYU particularly at this point?
Well, unlike everything, Kansas State somehow still avoids BYU. I just can't. We don't play BYU, so
I'm scared of our student section sometimes. But,
Oh God.
not BYU so much.
Can I bring up a concern?
All right.
I just need you guys with me on this.
David Rand.
So
We're here
I
for you, Cam.
found a Baylor basketball national champions hat that I hadn't seen before on eBay, and I was like, man, this is already a relic. Like, I don't know when this is going to happen again. And so I was like, I got to buy it. It's a little busy, but it kind of looks retro-y. I got to buy it. And so then I put it on while I was in StreamYard, and it looks like one of those like foam trucker hats
Oh, yeah.
the ladies get on bachelorette parties, or you know what I mean?
A
little bit.
Like, are you getting that? Because
That
how it looks
front
on my head.
panel is like 2/3 of the hat. sir.
It's huge, man.
It's big.
And my head's
Looks like
already
some-
big.
I
Looks
need a
something
flatter
future
bill, though.
assistant. It looks like something future assistant coach Jerome Tang for Baylor Bears will wear.
There
I
you
need
go.
a flatter bill on it.
That's true. That hat's got a nice tang to it. Apparently.
There you
Oh,
go.
there
Get that thing flatter, bud. There you go. Flatten it
Nah,
out.
man, you got to bend it like an American man.
Well,
Thank you,
not trucker
Cody.
hats,
Thank
though.
you, Cody.
Trucker
It's
hats
not
are
supposed
flat,
to be
you know what I
one.
mean?
How
But
much space is between your head and the top of the hat? Like, are we? It looks like
there's still like a good
that thing looks
amount,
like it's
and I have a
floating on
pretty
your
big
head.
Yeah.
That front
thing's
panel,
floating.
man, is gigantic.
Like I gotta do this to make it look
Oh, you can-
almost right.
Yes.
now you look 12.
Yeah.
Drake
The ears-
Stay
yeah,
says,
the
I
ears aren't
started
good.
this episode. in
Now
left
we don't.
field.
Now we don't
even
want you
know.
next to MJ at All Star Weekend.
So I'm
Oh,
I'm gonna have to send this back.
We could. Do you have anything you could wear to make you look like Sydney Sweeney? Is there like a, if we're looking, or MJ All-Star came, could we
Do you have
put it in
jeans?
reverse? And,
Are you not seeing those AI things that people do now where they're sitting
Sometimes
there
I can't
doing
go on
this?
Instagram when Sydney Sweeney's on a roll. I
Hey,
can't.
apparently
can't
Puka
do this.
Nakua went skydiving with her. I don't know. What's
wow.
Hey,
Hey,
we
well,
established in the break. Jake Hatch confirmed. Like, we could be saying this at his Hall of Fame ceremony someday. The first team to get truly Puka Nakua'd, the
Baylor
Bears.
Bears. Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
2021 Baylor Bears.
And I was there. I was in the house.
And you haven't even heard the worst part.
The
Baylor
pride.
won the game by 2 touchdowns.
They did.
The pride with which Drake said, I was there.
Yep.
I was in the house.
I was also there the next year when BYU beat Baylor in the single stupidest college football game of all time. I think each team missed a field goal. There were 3 missed field goals the first 3 possessions in overtime. That's insane.
Pretty bad. Every kept lining up. Oh, this game's over. Nope, it is not.
That's crazy.
Which one's worse, that one or the very first ever game between West Virginia and Baylor to open the West Virginia's Big 12?
70 to
slate.
63?
Yeah, 70-63. What a
Hated
score!
it.
Unbelievable.
Missed that, man. I missed that big. You know, I went on a
Scoring
cruise on
63
Friday.
points and losing. I missed that, dude.
Hey, Drake, if you miss it, watch O State this season. We might be one of those offenses.
Against Baylor specifically, hopefully.
I mean,
Yeah, there
kinda,
you go.
yeah.
Atta baby.
Who's gonna
We
stop
could have
you
done
on
that last year.
defense? I went on a cruise on Friday, and at 8:30, the captain comes on. The 8:30 a.m. the captain comes on and goes, "Bing bong." Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to delay our disembarkation by an hour. Thank you. Bing bong. Wow, never heard of that. Okay, extra sleep. 9:30. We stayed on the boat, out of our rooms, all luggage on the decks, poop overflowing in the toilets, food running out. We had our luggage on the deck, laying with it, us 2,500 patrons, and did not get off until 1 a.m. That being 16, 17 hours later. We were at the port. We were at the mouth of the channel. Did you know this? Did anyone know this? Cruise ships don't have a pilot on board.
That's
They
normal.
They don't travel with a pilot. Yeah, they have a captain. And
at
so
what
they
point,
get
at what point do you just hop
3
on a raft? Like, how many
Yeah.
hours would it have taken
Correct.
for you to just jump out?
I was close to jumping off the boat.
Can the
Wilder,
Coast Guard get you at some point? How many hours do we need to hit?
Which port were you at, by the way, so I can avoid it forever?
Tampa. I was in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
All the
They
cruise
have
ships,
fog sometimes.
they all go through like Miami and Florida. Like they're all
Yeah.
just
I
docked.
was gonna say, there's Fort Lauderdale, there's Port Canaveral.
Yeah.
Like, where
I went out of New Orleans on my cruise. It was pretty cool.
I just like Drake. Like how many more hours would you have needed to like stay
we
on the boat?
We had a lot of those discussions about, like if we've hit our 13th reason, what is the manner in which? There were a lot of really aggressive things we talked about.
So what was
And-
the actual reason why you had to stand
Fog,
up?
man.
Oh,
So that
fog?
they get the mouth of the channel that takes them the 3-hour journey, into shore. So the pilot has to speedboat his little ass out there, hop on this boat, and then you have 3-hour journey in the channel. 6 of the 7 zones of the channel were clear, but there was one middle zone that had fog. So they just wouldn't. At one point, this was the worst part. At noon, the captain goes, "Bing bong, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to inform you that 6 of the 7 channels are open. So it could be 5 minutes or 5 hours. We'll keep you updated." It's like, what the hell, man? What are you doing?
That's a great option right there. He gave you all the possibilities. He said,
There you go.
could be on
Imagine
boat.
being on a boat 13 hours after he said 5 minutes. Like as an option.
I had my flight delayed by Jerry Jones this past week, so like traveling was just tough.
What was he doing? Not signing free agents?
His Dallas Cowboys plane was just sitting in the runway, and so there was 15 planes behind him, and we sat on the runway for an hour and a half. 'Cause
God, what a
he did
joke.
not, he did not
Jerry,
fly away.
get out of the way.
I was like, Jerry, come on now, fly somewhere, anywhere but here.
Man of the
Felt like I was watching Landman. Like, just do something. Why are we at the airport watching Tommy again?
This episode started in left field, so I'm not surprised it ended there as well.
With airplanes.
Yeah, airplanes, left
Airplane,
field.
cruise ships,
Talking about poop overflowing, and this is great. This is
Did
great.
you poop after the
We didn't
delay?
talk about
Drake?
Baylor basketball.
I only had like 2 defecations, I think, the entire cruise. It was like 5 days. That's not a lot, gents. That's not a lot at
Oh.
all.
I'm gonna bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Rookie numbers. That's right.
With rookie number, that's unhealthy. That's like I
That's not
need some
good.
fiber.
Drake's a
or
home
something.
poop. I mean, Drake's a home pooper. That's what that is.
Tough. I can.
You were sedentary.
I'm not
on
a
deck.
system. I'm not a system
You're a system pooper.
defecator. I'm
System
not.
pooper.
I can play on
You
the
know,
road.
you make the cruise poop the first option, and I just don't know if you're going to get enough production out of them.
Okay.
System
just-
pooper.
Drake, you do look very squared away, like you would have your poops on a timer. Just to
Wow.
throw it out there.
The moment was too big for you, Drake. You
That's a
couldn't use
compliment.
the communal bathroom with the captain. You hate to see it.
Wow. I did not cross streams with the
You could have just dropped a Baylor over the side. You could have just
Oh,
Would you like to know why
Yeah.
it's called the
right into
poop
McLean
deck?
Stadium.
You guys know what an aqua dump is?
right into McLean Stadium.
I'm not sure I want to know.
You want to know why it's called
To
the
the
poop
Big
deck?
12 squat.
Hey, you know what, Paul? Why is it called the poop deck?
Because it stems from a French word, right?
Oh, I thought it was
No.
gonna be a joke. I was ready for.
Well,
like,
hold on, we're getting there. The stern of the ship is the rear of the ship.
Okay.
The rear. Poop
Ah.
deck.
nice.
Oof. Are we still getting there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's a long build,
if
Cam.
you keep the camera
It's
rolling,
like the moth.
Hey, catch us next Thursday, and we'll have it finished.
I usually finish that sentence with, and that's how Mel Gibson came up with the Passion of the Christ.
there you go. Out of
Hey,
bed.
how
the way to
come?
end it.
You drive on a parkway and park on a driveway.
Okay, Jerry.
This is
And
good.
that is the
Why?
Big
This has
12.
been the Locked On Big 12 squad.
Please hit subscribe to all of our shows
Squat.
that we love to do every single week. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making our shows your first listen. The Dose Grande Squad.